Welcome to Joe Stunner Boxing. At the end of my preview for Conor Benn versus Chris EUBANK Jr., my said with no confidence prediction was Chris EUBANK Jr. would win on points, a close one. Well, I'm going to be smug. Actually, no, I'm not going to be smug, because when all is said and done, that's about the only thing I got right. I said all along this was a gimmick fight. Really, that stemmed from 2-3 years ago. During the build-up to this fight, I thought the pendulum is swinging towards Conor Benn. The weight, I thought, was a major issue. But let's make no mistake about it. This was a genuine classic fight. A brilliant contest between two men who may have only been there because of their fathers' names, but who did both their fathers proud. They've both fought their hearts out. I had this 115 to 113 for Chris EUBANK Jr. After 10 rounds, I had it even, and I gave the last two to Chris, which meant 115, 113. But let's take nothing at all away from Conor Benn. And God knows I've made enough videos, calling him out on the PED failures and the overall image and the behaviour of self-entitlement that he showed, and the immaturity of the guy maybe a little bit. To me, this was redemption for Conor Benn, because he fought his absolute heart out against a man who looked 2 weight divisions bigger than him. He looked tiny compared to EUBANK, and yet from the word go, he fought as cavalier as his father ever did. And I couldn't, but honest to God, I mean, it was eerie how much he looked like his dad in there. The style, all this exaggerated movement, twisting at the waist, exaggerated head movements, real gigantic sort of feints and gulps of energy being used. And he just looked like his dad. And he fought like his dad. And he showed his dad's guts. And in fact, he showed a better chin than his dad had, to be honest with you. Now, for Chris EUBANK Jr., the weight really did look like it might be a factor early on. He was shaken in the second round. Benn, very, very cavalier, coming out, huge swings. And EUBANK, for the first round, banging the jab in nice, trying to keep it at range, doing a lot of good work. Second round, EUBANK got shaken. Third round, I think I gave that to Conor, and I gave the fourth. Did I give the fourth? No, I think I gave the third to EUBANK, fourth and fifth to EUBANK as well, if I remember rightly. But there wasn't a great deal in it. Now, as the fight progressed, it looked to me like, irony of all ironies, Benn might be the one who might blow a gasket and further down the stretch be more knackered than the guy who supposedly had all the weight-making problems, because he was using up huge amounts of energy. Enormous swings, big hooks. He was making himself a smaller target by crouching down and, even smaller than he was. But he kept going, and he was catching EUBANK. Now, it has to be said that after a couple of rounds, EUBANK was really breathing heavily in his corner, but he kind of got his second wind, and he is used to boiling himself down to that really lightweight for him. I still don't think he's a 160-pounder now. I think he'd be far better off at 168. But Benn seemed to find his second wind, at least sort of half second wind maybe, and was still putting it on EUBANK. He was still there. And even when EUBANK was clocking Benn with very hard, accurate punches, Benn was taking them. He was against a guy who was so much bigger. Even though whenever they were up close and they got into any kind of shoving match, EUBANK, it was so obvious he was bigger, because at one point he pushed Benn across the ring just with a shoulder barge. In fact, the referee spoke to EUBANK a couple of occasions for being a bit free and easy with the shoulder. He was trying to impose his physicality, his size on Benn, which is absolutely fine. I mean, that's not a problem, That's what you got to do. If you lose a point or two, well, you've got to own it, haven't you? But if you can get away with it, you can get away with it. But Benn, make no mistake about it, Benn was in the 9th round, I think it was the 9th round, Ben looked like he might even force a stoppage. He was getting in so much closer, battering Eubank, bringing huge hooks over the top, railing the body. Eubank was firing back, but he looked absolutely shattered, like he was running on empty. And in the 10th round, I was amazed, but Eubank seemed to find something from somewhere. Perhaps, I mean, I'm doing this review video like 10 minutes after the fight's over. Maybe in the 10th round, Conor had just blown a bit of a gasket in the 9th round and was having to take the 10th off. But the 11th and 12th, like I say, I had it 5 each after 10. The so-called championship rounds, there wasn't a belt on the line here. Who needed it? I thought, if whoever wins these 2 rounds wins the fight, and I thought it was Chris EUBANK Jr, who just found something from somewhere and actually managed to get Ben on the ropes, again, using his physical size, landed a couple of really meaty hooks that were flush, and Ben took them. I mean, Ben's punch resistance will be improved by moving up in weight. He's, what is he? What was he, 156.4, wasn't he? Eubank actually did make the check weight, the £10 rehydration clause, so he won't need to pay yet more money on the stuff he's lost. But yeah, when the final round was just action-packed. It was a great fight. It was a great fight. And I'm delighted to be proven wrong. I didn't rule out the possibility that it would be a good fight. I really didn't. Because sometimes, you can see good fights that are, not even area level, watching at a leisure centre somewhere, that are 6-rounders. So, yeah, it might be a good fight, but I was extremely sceptical. I've always been a show-me guy. You show me something and prove me wrong, I'll be more than happy to say I'm wrong. And I was wrong about this fight. And is anyone going to complain about the rematch clause? I don't think so, because if ever a fight deserved a rematch, it is this. What are we in? We're in the arse end of April now. I doubt very much whether there will be many more fights this year that will be better than this one. Was it as good as the Nigel Benn, as this fight? Was it as good as this one? Oh, you know what? It wasn't far off it. It will not. It might even be better. I don't know. All I know is this was a great fight. All right. And Eubank, so by the way, I should mention Eubank survived a slice, a cut across his right eye. Was it a head clash? I think it was. It was controlled by the corner. Post-fight, Chris EUBANK said, look, I underestimated him. I didn't train for this type of fight. I thought I needed someone to bring this out of me, and I just didn't think it would be Conor Benn. We also had the sight of Chris EUBANK Sr. not in Junior's corner, but he walked him to the ring as Nigel walked Conor to the ring. It was a trip down memory lane for those of us who are old enough to remember their fathers fighting. It was a great fight. It was a great fight, and fantastic to see the Eubanks making up. Fathers and sons shouldn't be estranged. They should be together. And afterwards, Conor Benn bitterly disappointed, but he has got nothing to be ashamed of. He proved a ton in there, and it really was, for those that know what they're looking at, this was redemption time for Conor Benn. He came of age in this fight. He really did. And I don't know whether he can get down to 147 now, because if he goes for the rematch with Eubank, which surely must happen, he'll settle into that weight a fair bit better than he was for this fight. So going all the way back to 147, if I was him, I'd stop at 154. I know it's a very good division, but yeah, tremendous fight. And well done to Chris EUBANK Jr. and huge plaudits to Conor Benn as well. I didn't have a dog in this race. I didn't care who won. But I'm delighted to be proved wrong that this was indeed a fantastic fight. And they both left everything in the ring. They are their father's sons. Well done, lads. It's been a privilege to watch you both. All right, what do you think? Comments below as usual. You know the drill. If you like the video, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And we'll probably have more to say on this later on. But I'll look forward to reading your comments, and I'll answer as many as I can. All right. Thanks very much. Bye for now.